Okay, today I want to show you how to create a collaborative learning space for your subject. I'll be going over how to create a consistent layout and some of the basic applications you can add to the space. So firstly, we're in our home area of the Ultranet and we need to navigate to the collaborative learning space. So we click onto the collaborative learning icon and select. Okay, so now we're here in the collaborative learning space. First thing to do is click this button here which says add collaborative learning space. So we select that. And above, the first thing we actually add the title. So I'm just going to add a title. It's going to be called Preston Girls Secondary College. Basically, I'm going to call this Year 8 Humanities, and it'll be 2011. Give it a brief description. And I'll set the access to open so it'll be easy for the students to join. Once I've done that, I basically select Save. So we've now created our learning space. But how to find that space? What we do is we actually select Collaborative Learning Spaces I own. Because you've just created it, you own that space. So now I actually find where it is. Preston Girls Secondary College, Year 8 Humanities, and I select that link. Now you'll see that I've gone to a new space. It is actually blank. The first thing I need to do now is I actually need to set up a basic template. The way I do that is I select down here to the Actions icon, which is a little hand with a finger, and I basically scroll up here to go Change Layout. Now it's always a good idea to draw what the page should look like before deciding on the layout. But in this case I'm going to select the basic 2-column layout with a thin column on the right hand side. And I want to have a navigation bar at the top, so I'm going to select this one, 2 columns 70/30. So I select that and I go Save. Now it doesn't look like anything has changed on the page, but behind the page there's an invisible 2-column table that we can now add applications to. The first thing I want to do is decide on what sort of applications I want to add. And in this case I want to add a few basic applications. I want to add a breadcrumb, which will allow the users to know where they are within the space. A site map, which will be used as a navigation bar or menu. A publication display, which is very good for adding static content that doesn't change much. A wiki, so students can put their work onto it. And a blog, so I can deliver lesson plans. To add applications, I actually come down here to the Actions icon again, and I basically go to this one and it says Add Applications. First thing I want to add is a breadcrumb. So the easiest way to do that is start typing in bread. And here we go, breadcrumb. And I want to add that to the top, so when I scroll it across, when it goes yellow, that means I can add it, so I'll let it go now. And at the top we've got a breadcrumb. It says Home, and I'll explain how that works later on. The second application I want to add is a site map, which will be how the users will navigate throughout the space. So site map, and I will drag that across to here. Again, that says Home. Next application I want to add is a publication display. Now these are very good for putting information up that doesn't change much, like SAC dates or a welcome page or important information. So a publication display will go there. The next thing I'll add is a blog. Put that under there for the time being. And lastly, I'm going to add a wiki. And I'll drag that under the blog. And there we go. So basically I want every page to look like this. There'll always be a sitemap on the right hand side, a breadcrumb to tell people exactly where they are, and in this left hand column there'll be some sort of content. It might be a blog or a wiki. So first thing I'll actually have to do is select edit controls, and I'm just going to basically, click edit controls, and I'm just going to add a publication. So this publication, I'm just going to call it welcome page, and this will be the page that actually will welcome users onto the site. And you go save and approve here when you have a publication display. And there we have it. So that's the basic layout of the page, and I'm quite happy with that now. What will change, I'll have a whole series of pages on my site. Each basic idea will have a page. So I'll have one page for lessons, I'll have one page for a class wiki, and one page to display other important information. So the next thing I want to show you is how to create sub-pages of this main page. To do that, I scroll down here, back to the Actions palette, and I actually go Manage Pages. So here we have Manage Pages here. So we'll see the first thing, we have one page, it's called Home. Now I always like to rename this page, so make sure I select Page here. And I'm going to actually rename this Year 8 Humanities. Or I could leave it at Home, but I like to change the name of it. And I basically go Save. So now I've renamed the page to Year 8 Humanities. I'll also want to create sub-pages, so one page for a lesson plan, or one page for lessons, one page for a class wiki, and one page for other information. So how I do that, how I create a sub-page, is I click on Children. And this will actually create children of the Year 8 Humanities page. So I've created children now. And how I do this is I can actually add pages by giving that page a name. So the first page I want to have, I'm just basically going to call it Lessons. And the crucial step is actually to say copy the parent. Now this will copy all the layout and all the applications from the Year 8 Humanities page onto our Lessons page. And we go Add Page. Now you'll notice here that I've created this as a sub-page. So I've got Year 8 Humanities and I've got Lessons. The next page I want to create is a class wiki. Again, I go Copy Parent and I go Add. And the last page I want to add just for today will be Timeline. Again, I go Copy Parent and I go Add Page. Alright, now when I return to the full page, you'll see what I've actually done. So now, if you have a look here, instead of the breadcrumb saying Home, it now says Year 8 Humanities. And on the sitemap, we've actually created a navigation structure. We've created Year 8 Humanities, and here we have Lessons, Class Wiki and Timeline. So if we click onto the lessons now, you'll actually notice here in the breadcrumbs, I've got Lessons and Year 8 Humanities. And then if I click on the Class Wiki, it changes to Class Wiki. So they're different pages, but they look exactly the same. Now what I can do is I'll actually determine what I want to keep and what I actually want to delete on each page. So if I go to my lessons page now, I just want to basically use a blog, and blogs are really good for teachers because each new lesson, the content will be at the very top of the blog. So therefore I'm going to delete what I don't need. So I'm going to delete this, this publication display. And I'm also going to delete this wiki because I don't need it on this page. So my lessons page will actually have this. I could even call it lessons here. Okay. And now I want to go to my class wiki page. In my class wiki page, I don't want a publication display. And I don't want a blog. So I'm going to delete that as well. And the last page is a timeline. Okay, my timeline, I want a publication display, but I don't want a blog, so I go OK. And I don't want a wiki. I just want this. Basically that's all. So now you'll actually see the difference. So if I go You Had Humanities, I've got all the original applications I wanted. I might edit that later on. Lessons, I've only got a blog, class wiki. I'll have that, and timeline, I'll have that. So basically, I've now set the site up how I want it. So what I'll do now is I'll actually show you how to, on the, I'll make sure I'm on the timeline, how to actually add a timeline to show the students what will happen week by week. So now the first thing I'll do is add publication to here, and I'm actually going to call this timeline. Now in here I actually want to cut and paste a timeline I've created before in Word. And the way to do that is I click onto this icon and I then go to Word. So I have a timeline displayed. Just here. It's my timeline. So then I select all, and then I'll actually copy all of that. And now I'll go back to my my icon here, and I'll click here. And you notice that looks pretty much the same as it did in Word. And this is my timeline for Humanities, Year 8. And I select OK. And here we have our timeline with all the colours, etc. displayed in our publication display. And it's important that when we do this, I'll actually do this again to show you. So I'll delete all of this for the sake of exercise. I didn't delete, so I'll select. Do it. So we need to really select this clipboard with the Word icon. So we go here, I'll paste it into there and go OK. Remember, the most important thing at this stage is to go Save and Approve. So I've done that. And now that content, our timeline, is now displayed on our page. So we have a class wiki and we have lessons. And in Year 8 Humanities, we have our welcome page. Now in Year 8 Humanities, the home page, again I'll close what I don't want. And later on I'll put some content on here describing what the page actually is and what the purpose of the space is. And basically that's it. I've created a basic template for my learning area.